The opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and presenters. They do not represent the opinions or views of the Equita Group, Equita Final Expense Services, or its affiliates.
Hello, everybody. Chase Urick here at the Equita Home Office. Excited about our podcast today. We are in the trenches once again, and we've got a good one for you. We have Rachael Zimmerman on with us. And if you don't know who Rachael Zimmerman is, you're probably new to EFES or you've been living under a rock. I say that with all love and due respect, but Rachel's a top producer, consistently sitting at the top of the leaderboard each and every single month. I'm fired up about having her on today. She's gracious enough to give us some of her time with her busy schedule, and you'll get to hear from her. I mean, she's $237,000 in personal production last year, over 313 applications. In 2017, she was over $167,000 in production with 185 apps. She's getting better at a very scary rate. So we're very, very lucky, very happy to have her on today. And we're going to get to Rachael here in just a moment. But as we always do at the beginning of the podcast, on episode 17, I believe, of Insurance in the Trenches, I reverted back to Insurance in Your Face that I always do with Ben, but episode 17 of In the Trenches, for those that are with us that are new, on this podcast, what we like to do is interview a top producer. And so if you're not familiar with the format, buckle up, get your notepad ready. You're going to be able to kind of get inside the mind of a top producer, see how they do what they do each and every day, each and every week. And we welcome you, whether you're live, which we have a nice turnout here live in real time with us, or if you're in podcast land listening to this on a bit of a delay because you've hit the subscribe button. So we also have a couple of updates for you guys, some news you can use, which is, first and foremost, the main one is going to be the EFES Annual Convention. We're going to be in Las Vegas, March 21st, March 22nd, and we have an unbelievable agenda put together for you guys. We're excited about all of the content that we've put together. We've got a great group of speakers that are going to be educating you, training you on how to get better. There's also going to be an entertainment value put together with this because it's not a road show. It's a convention, the first EFES annual convention that we're going to kick off in Vegas. So if you haven't RSVP'd yet, you haven't made the leap of faith and join us like a ton of other people have already, jump in. All you got to do is pay to get there. It doesn't cost you to attend. There's no $10,000 ticket to get in. This isn't the Emmys. This isn't the Oscars. We want to see you. We want to get you plugged in so you can network and rub elbows with some of the other top producers. And once again, all you got to do is get there. Get your hotel booked. Get your flight booked. There's still some cheap hotels and some cheap flights out there. But March Madness is taking place March 21st and March 22nd, so it's only going to get more expensive. Go to EFESroadshows.com, EFES roadshows.com. RSVP, get your seat booked, and let's get you there so you can meet somebody like a Rachael Zimmerman, a Lovely Johnson, a Cole McCoy, whoever you are looking and dying to meet. We've got some really neat content, as I mentioned before. I'll be redundant. You'll want to be there. You definitely want to be there. Also, you've got a promotion going on right now for all of you that are looking to maybe add some extra activity. You got a promotion running right now for the EFES shopping cart. Blitz10 is the promotion code. Blitz10, B-L-I-T-Z 10, the number 10, all one word. That gets you 10% off of anything through the shopping cart, any excess or bonus leads, anything your heart desires. Use that promo code. Get yourself a little discount. I want to throw that in there for you just so you can get yourself something over the weekend if you're ready to get rolling. With that being said, I'm ready to get rolling. I'm going to get Rachael opened up so we can go ahead and start chatting here. Let's get this thing fired up. Here. I'm not sure why the music wasn't wanting to behave, but Rachael Zimmerman, are you there?
I'm here, Chase.
I appreciate you jumping on. I know you got a busy schedule, and I am super thankful that you decided to jump on and join us. We'll get right to it, as we did zero prep for this. I say that jokingly. We just kind of had a chat about what this call is all about, what this podcast is all about. But we want to kind of give a peek behind the curtain, like we've done with all of our other guests. There's something to be said for consistency. There's something to be said for elite talent. putting that into play, and you're definitely that. Over 237,000 in personal production last year. You're an absolute killer in the business. Let's learn a little bit about you. When did you first get into this crazy business that we all love?
So it started about 2 years ago, actually, in March. I just looked up when my first policy was submitted. It was March 7th of 2017. Came from NASA. Worked for NASA for 8 to 9 years. This business was totally new to me. Kind of went out on a limb and wanted to change things in my life. So loving the business. Pretty much started with just final expense. This past year in October, started incorporating Medicare, which has totally changed the business for me. I'm loving it. It's making my production more. My production has gone up. I'm down to 20 leads a week. I door knock all of my leads, and just loving where I am.
Well, that's awesome, and you jumped ahead, which is good because you really kind of set the table for a couple of things I want to cover with you, so that everybody gets a little bit of an idea of how you do things. Now, just to clarify, you worked for NASA, NASA. Were you a rocket scientist for them? That's different. We don't hear that too often.
Yeah. So for NASA, for about 5 years, I worked in finance, and then moved to HR, where I was doing federal benefits, which is their life insurance and health insurance for NASA employees. I also did retirement. Kind of found myself spinning wheels. I had went back and got my master's degree, which was kind of paid for, thinking that would advance me. It did advance me, and I got an opportunity to take a lead position as the awards coordinator for NASA. So we kind of like putting on awards ceremonies for NASA employees, which was done like once a year. And then when I found out what my salary was going to be, that was kind of a game changer for me. So I decided, I feel like I'm just spinning wheels here, and, I feel like I need to step out of this.
That's amazing. That is an amazing story. And that's, for me, for selfish reasons, that's my favorite part of doing this podcast, is getting to know you, obviously. Even though I've already got to know you a little bit outside of the podcast, having you attended a few of the road shows last year, and I'd be a fool not to try and get to know you a little bit after hearing Ben Bowman speak so highly of you and then seeing you absolutely obliterate everyone on the leaderboard. But it's really, really neat to see the stories of each one of our guests here, and how we all come from just such different backgrounds. And that's really, really one of the neat things for me. Let's talk about your first impression of the business. When you first got going, you got in, whether it was your first day training or your first full week in the field, what was your first impression of the business?
So I actually took my first week. I knew that I needed to get on a lead system. I kind of I was very lucky to kind of fall into Ben Bowman's lap. He was great getting into the business. I took a set of leads. I didn't want to be one of those people that go around knocking on doors saying, hey, you want to buy some insurance? I wanted a reason to be there. So I knew that from hearing him advise me, hey, you need to follow these certain steps, that I needed to get on leads. So I took a set of, I would say, probably 15 to 20 leads in Gulfport, Mississippi. They were old leads. I did not expect to write any business off of them. I just kind of took it as a learning experience, got in the car, and, I had listened to a lot of the, it's not podcasts, but a lot of the recordings of what to say, when you go to a house, and I had recorded myself on the setting appointments. I sent that to Ben. He listened to it. He critiqued it for me. So pretty much just started out. I didn't set any appointments. I just got in the car and went and started door knocking. Didn't write any business off of that, but that's okay. I looked at it like, this is going to make me feel more comfortable about what I'm doing, and get me out there and get me the exposure and make me feel more confident in what I was doing. Stepped out of the car, and thought to myself, what the heck am I doing? But just went and knocked on the door. I kept telling myself in my mind, I got to do this. I got to go to the door, not say what I think I need to say, and this is just a learning experience. So that's how I pretty much got started. And then from then forward, I started with 20 leads a week and just worked those 20 leads.
That is absolutely amazing. Love getting that perspective of what your first thoughts were, because for a lot of us, I've probably mentioned this on every single podcast, just to kind of put it in context for everybody out there that's not familiar with the business or just got started. Like, I remember, I think it was Eric's wife thought we were selling caskets. I didn't know what I thought our business was illegal due to the amount of income that, the agents were able to make. I was 21 years old. I didn't know what to think. So I love getting the perspective and what your outlook was on the business when you first got into it. You mentioned this already, but I have to ask the question just so we have it, on the record as well as we flow through here. Door knocker, you're a door knocking machine. You've got calluses on the knuckles. Tell us a little bit about the mentality of why you love door knocking.
So the reason I like to door knock, when I started out in the business, like I said, that first set of leads I door knocked. I tried to set appointments. It didn't go so well for me starting out. I kind of flip-flopped back and forth starting out in the business between door knocking and setting appointments. And what I found personally for me that worked for me best was door knocking. With me getting only 20 leads a week, I thought that my persistency was higher by me seeing the person, face to face. When I make a call, I feel like it's easier for somebody to say, I'm not interested. Telemarketers are just so bad that it's getting harder and harder for us agents to get someone on the phone. So with getting 20 leads a week, I feel like that's why I need to door knock. Now, there are times in this business where, I will have a rough day and I will come home. I will not write anything for that day, and I'll get on the phone and just blow the phones up, because my mentality is I have to, set my day for the next day, and I have done that. But it is harder to set appointments for me personally than if I'm right there in front of the client, and I use that lead card. That is the main reason I'm there, and I just act like I'm supposed to be there. You mailed this off to me. I'm just here just to help you, to see what I can do to help you. And, with that mentality of me setting to them that I'm supposed to be there, I just roll with that the whole time I'm there.
It's good stuff, and you hear it from, we've had, Josh Jensen on, who's an appointment setting machine, Roger Chan, who everybody knows, he's a killer in the business. Everybody has a different approach, whether you do the appointment setting, whether you do the door knocking. One thing that we've really come to find out, Chris Smith said it, I think, numerous times in conversations off the record, as well as when we had him on the call. There's something to be said for somebody who has a foundation of being able to go out and door knock. If we were told today it's illegal to call somebody, you can't call and set appointments, how many of us would remain successful in the business? There's a lot of you on the call right now: Pete West, Bill Miller, Chris Smith, Roger Chan, Richard Landis. There's a lot of you on this call right now, Joel Shackett, who can absolutely, Estrie Thomas, I'm going to throw many names out here, Dan Riddle, James Irwin, Lovely Johnson, that can go out and absolutely perform at a high level because the foundation is door knocking. But they're also able to get on the phone, like you said, and book themselves up. I love asking that question. Once again, guilty pleasure. It's something selfish that I have to ask because I love knowing about it. One thing that we really like to get out on this call also is goals, getting your perspective on where you were when you first got into the business. Hey, I needed to make this much money, and then also where you've progressed. Both goals monetarily, but also maybe activity goals, anything that you've got goal-wise. Let's talk about, what your initial goals look like when you were first getting going in the business compared to now.
Okay. So, first getting in the business, I told Ben Bowman that my goal was to make $60,000 a year, which is, I think, kind of funny now. That mentality I had, I remember our conversation, and I said, Ben, if you can just promise that I can make $60,000, I will be completely happy. and if I had the opportunity to just work when I want to work or take off when I want to take off, I'll be happy. I obviously surpassed that very quickly in the business within my first year. So my goal for this past year, which was my first full year in the business, was to be the number 6 agent. And number 6 is just kind of crazy. It's my lucky number. But one of the other producers at the last EFES Roadshow asked me, don't you want to be number 1? Well, yeah, of course I want to be number 1, but my personal goal, I set goals for myself. My goal was to be number 6. I finished number 5. I'll take it. So I obviously met that goal last year. And then this year, I would say, I started with Medicare in October. Obviously, I love the Medicare stuff. I did not like it at first. I had a lot of obstacles. It was not easy for me, but it was a lot of hard work, and it's well worth it. It makes my day a lot easier. I'm more relaxed in a house. I feel less pressured. It opens so many doors when you're in a house where you can help somebody. It kind of gives you that, you're more relaxed in a house because you feel like not only can I help this person with life insurance, I also can help them with their Medicare side, and it also makes that person, I would say, more, what's the word I'm looking for? They want you to help them. It just brings it to another level. So my next goal for this year is just to make my production go up and put in as much business as I can.
I love it. You did definitely jump, and you can tell that you're somebody who's goal-oriented because you've obliterated certain landmarks and milestones over the past 2 years that I've gotten to know you, and it's not even been close. You almost added an additional $100,000 in personal production premium on the board from last year. It's impressive to see you do what you do. Let's talk a little bit about your daily routine. This is also kind of some of the secret sauce that we like to kind of give away here. And we don't have to go into great detail if there is something that you're working on, putting a patent on. But in terms of how you do what you do every day, give us a little bit of a peek on how your day goes from the day from the moment you get up until the time you shut it down that day on how you conduct business.
So I take just I have my 20 leads that I get each week. Usually the night before, I kind of, put all my leads in order of the houses, so I'm not backtracking and stuff like that. And so I would say, well, actually, I put them all in order from direction that I'll be going. And then that way I can just follow that stack of leads for the entire week. So I pretty much just get up and start door knocking. I go to each door. If they're not there, I'll leave one of the little sticky notes on the door. Make a note on the lead that was there. Come back. Something identifying the house to make me remember if I really want to go back to that one, or and I just work those leads that afternoon. And, like I said, if I have a really bad day, I will come in and get on the phones and try to set some more permanent, appointments for the next day. So that way, I feel like I'm off to a better start, I would say.
And so you really don't. It sounds to me like you really just go until you're done. There's no particular. Yeah. I'm out at this time and I'm done at this time. You go until you feel like I'm done.
Oh, for sure. So I
Awesome.
Start probably, I would say, about 10-ish. Between 10 and 11 is usually when I start. And then I just go all day until I can't go anymore. Usually, it's around dark. Sometimes I'm in some crazy areas, so I don't like to be knocking on doors, past dark. But if I'm in a house, I don't. If I'm going to write it, there's no set time for me to go home. When I first started the business, my husband was like, what time are you going to be in? Well, I have no clue, like I'm going to stay out until I put something on the books. And a lot of times what I found is that it's, that mentality to tell yourself, I'm got to put something in. And it's the last house that you go in that you actually do put something in. And I can't tell you how many times that has happened. I know a lot of other producers have said the same thing, but that is very true, that it's about the mentality and just keeping your head on straight and saying, I got to go one more. And it has a lot to do with this business. You have to have that, mentality all the time. And if your head's not on straight and you're in a bad mood, or, you're telling yourself, oh, I didn't write anything all day, or, you might as well go home, because you have to have that mentality that you can do it. You got to be, positive, and keep going.
You actually just hit on something that I wanted to touch on later, and I'm glad you brought it up now. That mentality that, what do I do whenever I'm getting beat up if I can't give one away, or what do I do when I'm on fire? The answer is typically the same. You just keep going. You just keep drudging forward, because how often do we see, hey, I'm having a great day. I'm just going to kind of sneak over here. Let me go visit the family for a bit. Let me play with the kids. They're out of school. I remember one of the first calls that I ever did with Ben, when we first brought Ben over. He actually mentioned that. He's like, I got to get away from where I live. And if I'm doing well, or if I'm getting beat up, I got to get away from there, because I've got to keep moving forward. Good day, bad day, I got to keep drudging forward. And it could be a record-setting day for me if I'm on fire and I just keep going. I'll never set that record if I go home early after having a great day. Same thing with getting beat up, and I think that's a really big point that you make is, my attitude is going to reflect how I move forward. And just like our clients, commission breath. If we're in dire need of a sale, we're struggling, we're in that slump, and we're pushing forward. If we have commission breath, our clientele can smell it. No different than when we're radiating with let's get it, let's go, I'm going to make this happen. That positivity radiates as well. It's infectious, just like I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this. They can read that on you like a book. There is a psychological part of this business, isn't there?
For sure, without a doubt. I mean, I look at it like following the system. My first priority in the beginning of the week is to cover my lead charge. In my head, I'm thinking, I haven't made anything until I've covered that lead charge. And then from then on, it's just, and I personally don't keep up with, I just look at it like I'm going to put in as much as I can this week. I don't say, hey, I want to write 300. I want to write 200. I look at it like I got to follow this system, and that's my job. And if I follow the system, then I'm going to be successful. I just have to do what I can, and as much as I can to work these leads. That's my job. And I just look at it like that. And, that's my mentality when I'm having a bad day, because I do have those a lot, but it's all about, it's going to be okay because I'm following the system and it's proven to work. So there's nothing to worry about. I just got to go to work, so that's what I get up and do every day.
Absolutely. We, the numbers don't fail us. We fail the numbers. Heard that for over a decade now. I really appreciate you sharing that with us, kind of letting us have some of the secrets that you have there. Let's talk about bad habits. We love talking about how you kill it. We love talking about how, out of 12 months last year, over 237,000 in personal production, which puts you on an average of right at 20,000 per month. We all want to be there. We love talking about the fun stuff, the pretty stuff. Let's talk about some of the things that just get a little bit more real. Let's talk about your bad habits. Do you have any, number one? I want to prove that you are human to everybody on the podcast, because some do question that. Do you have any bad habits? And if you do, what are they?
So I would say probably, and it's more common now than in the beginning, my chargebacks, things that come off. I'm terrible about going back, looking to see who it is. I find that even with including Medicare in the business, I don't have the time to be going back and helping these people. And, it's a downside for me for sure, because it could be something very simple to put that business back on or to fix it. And I don't do it because I just find that I don't have the time. And it's also very frustrating for me as an agent, because I feel like, I have a lot going on, and I don't want to keep wasting my time on somebody that, can't keep up with paying their policy or whatever. And I know that's just the business, but I would say that was probably one of my biggest downfalls is keeping up with that stuff. And then I'm very bad about referrals. I don't ask for referrals in a house. I have found that with Medicare, I do get referrals now, and I don't even ask. The people just, matter of fact, yesterday, had a client that I helped with Medicare, and I got a call from a friend of that client, and I actually got Medicare out of that and a life insurance policy out of that. If anybody knows Security National, they're very hard to replace. This lady was, just trying to hand her life insurance policy over to me. So I do find that my referrals, I am getting a little bit of it, but my downside would be asking for referrals in a house.
It's good to hear those kind of things for everybody on the call. She is human. And like you've heard with Chris Smith and some of the others that you have, Richard Landis, this guy writes all this business. He's not a real person. He's a fake person on the leaderboard. These podcasts provide you the opportunity to kind of, once again, see that they are human, and that a lot of our shortcomings we all share. Not everybody is the same, but, some of our things that we want to work on and that we want to get better at, we're not all Lovely Johnson when it comes to referrals. We're not all Chris Smith where we work the lead to death. We're not all Josh Jensen where we can call and blitz out this many, leads into appointments. We're not all Roger Chan where we can drive all across the state of Texas and buy every one of these leads. We have our shortcomings, but at the end of the day, if we can identify them, that means we can work on them. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us a bit, Rachel. I want to talk about something you just hit on, and I love to bring this up on each one of our podcasts because I think it's a point that whether they're a new producer with EFES or currently producing and involved with it, or if they're out in podcast land and they knew nothing about it, I want to talk about the marriage between Medicare and final expense and how important that has been to you, having been somebody who is successful in the final expense business. How big has the Medicare opportunity just been as an eye-opener for you?
It's huge. I was very skeptical to do it at first. For me personally, I like to hear from other agents. Anything can look good, but until it's you personally doing it, I know for me, I only had my license. I had to go back to take the health part. So for me, that was another obstacle because when I did the life part, I said, I'm never going back to take another test. So I had to do that, and then the AHIP, and then all the certifications with the different companies. So that was a little bit, it took a lot of my time. It took me out of the field. I saw my production going down within, that month that I had to just put the time in. It took me out of the field to do all that stuff. But after all of that hard work, it definitely pays off. And like I said earlier, it makes the setting in the house, people want you to help them with Medicare. They're so overwhelmed with all the stuff that they get in the mail, the phone calls. They don't know who to turn to. When they see a person and a face, it's just different. And it also, once you're helping them with the Medicare, it kind of helps that life part come into play. I can't emphasize enough of how important that is to do both. But I'm also a realist. It's not easy at first. So it does take work. It's not going to be something that, you just take a test and it's all hunky-dory. You have to take the certifications with the different companies, but it pays off for sure, Chase.
And it's super important also, and it's not important, but I think it's vital yes, you can figure it out. You can read up on it. You can become a student. But how helpful is it to have that wild man that's about 5'8" come get in your car with you and show you, Peter Walker's who I'm talking about, to show you, take the time, travel to you, and come show you, hey, look, I can sell final expense also. Here's how the two work together. How helpful was that for you?
I'm so thankful for Peter. Peter was great. There has not been a time yet that I needed Peter and I couldn't get him on the phone. He is 100% there. Anytime, I told him, I said, Peter, I'm going to be calling you because I still don't understand what I'm doing. And he's like, it's okay. No question is stupid. Just call me and I will be there. And he 100% has been there, every step of the way. He's been down to Mississippi. I think we've met twice or three times. He spent a couple of days here. We rode together in the car. He went in the houses with me. He's like, he makes it look like, a piece of cake, which it is once you get going. But, he's been great every step of the way. I also rode with Cole. He came down here and worked on a project in Louisiana. So I drove on a Sunday 3 hours away to get in the car with him and ride. And we did some business with some well care up in North Louisiana. So I did learn a good bit from him, which was a huge help to me. And he's also been awesome. I could call him anytime and he's there.
I'm excited to kind of hear you say that, and I know that you've had some really good success post-meeting with Peter, and you've really kind of taken the Medicare and you just run with it and you're killing it. The numbers speak for themselves, but for those of you that are attending the event in Vegas, I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't have to arm wrestle him. I didn't have to beat him up about it. It was very easy to come up with. We're actually kind of doing this a little bit bigger than initially thought of, but we've got a big Medicare piece for day one that we're going to be sharing with you guys. And if you're right now on the fence, I don't know if I should do this, I don't know if I'm ready for it, we're going to tell a story at this event of whether you're new, whether you're current producing, whether you're an elite level producer, and it's going to talk about why you should be involved in Medicare. Because we all will reach a point in our career selling final expense where most of us are going to want to continue to kick that ceiling down. We're going to want to keep going. And you can only run so many leads. You can only write so much business for final expense. The Medicare is that retirement piece, that residual piece. As Peter says, it's that lifetime income piece. And it's so big. We got something special for you guys that are going to be in Vegas on the Medicare side of things. So I got to ask this as well whenever we have a guest on the podcast. Got to find out who your go-to companies are and why. So right now, who is backing the truck up to handle all that business that you give them? Who are your go-to companies?
So I just recently, this past year, starting this year, my go-to is Prosperity. They were I wrote a little bit of Prosperity last year, but my number one last year was Mutual of Omaha and Transamerica. And this year it is Prosperity in Transamerica. I like the Prosperity Instant Decision e-app. It's very convenient in the house. Gives you that instant decision. The instant decision is so quick in the house. I mean, within 5 minutes, you know whether it's approved or not. Transamerica, I like that there is no telephone interview. You fill out the app, send it in, it's uploaded as long as you get it in before 3 o'clock. You see it there, uploaded in their system. Transamerica allows you to provide reasons for medications. They're also COPD day one, so they're my go-to for that. And then that's about it.
Good stuff. You're not the first person I've heard that's fallen in love with Prosperity. We've got a lot of traction with them. Very responsive as they work to grow their internal support team. Jack Heller's just awesome over there. I love Jack. If there's an issue, we're always able to get a hold of him and at least address it. American Amicable is catching fire right now. The e-app is released, and I know Chris Smith was fired up about it. I have heard from about 12 different people, maybe 14 different people this week about this e-app that they've got, and I've seen it myself, run through it myself. It's pretty sweet. It's great to see the carriers starting to kind of come on board with the technology. And I know Royal Neighbors, they've got a pilot program they're running right now. No longer are they accepting no longer are they accepting elite apps, which is paper app. There was a special little program they had for a select group of people. That's gone. They've got an e-app they're rolling out, which is really, really neat. So good to see the carriers get on board with the technology. Let's talk about this one last question, and then we'll let you go. We super appreciate how much time you've given us today. Let's talk about the biggest lesson you've learned in this business. As good as you are, and you're only getting better, which is scary in a good way, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned so far in this business that you can share with our audience?
I would say it would probably be the amount of time that I've spent in the house, but also learning, the excuses, and when somebody's giving me an excuse, they're really not going to, they really don't want me to help them. You could spend an hour, somebody going on and on in a house, and all they're doing is completely wasting your time when you could be, going to the next house. So for me, I would say it's just learning to know when they're wasting your time and when they're not. I can pretty much tell now when I'm in a house. Now, sometimes they do prove me wrong, but because you do get that one, you can't really read them. But I can pretty much tell now when I'm in a house whether they really want me to help them or want me to write a policy or help them with Medicare. It's just learning how much time to spend in each house and when to just say, okay, they're not going to do anything. I need to move to the next house.
Oh, that's a good point. We've heard that talked about in the past. Probably doesn't get talked about enough. Agent killers. We only have so much time. We only have so many hours in the day. That's a really, really good point. I appreciate you so much jumping on and joining us, Rachael, and I look forward to seeing you at the annual convention in Las Vegas in a couple weeks.
Looking forward to it, Chase, and thanks for having me.
So awesome that we had Rachael on today. I'm nerding out right now. Pretty excited. That was awesome. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, whether you're joining us live right now. Big turnout today for the live attendance. If you're in podcast land right now, you want to be able to network. You want to be in a community, whether it's our group chat, whether it's a hotline, whether it's just being a part of a team where you get to meet and work with people like Rachael, like Chris, like Estrie, like Roger, like Joel, like everybody you hear as our guests on these calls, but you don't have it right now, we welcome you to give us a call, 800-765-0711. Give us a call. Talk to Ryan, Jeremy, myself, Ben. Talk to one of the team members here internally. We've got a great leadership team that's all across the United States. And it doesn't matter where you're located. It doesn't matter if you're on the West Coast, if you're on the East Coast. If you don't have a mentor, if you don't have leads, if you don't have people to see, you don't have products, you don't have good comp, whatever your deficiency is in your business, we'd love to talk to you about it. We'd love to help you. 800-765-0711. Also, you can go to EFESonline.com. There's a guy named Ryan. He's going to pop up, ask you to chat with him. Feel free to chat with him about the opportunity, and we'd love to be able to help you. Don't let another day go by where you're missing something in your business that's already available to you. You just got to be with the right group. If you are with the right group and you're just not taking advantage of the platform that's at your disposal, jump head first in. That's what the successful producers do. They go all in. And so once again, thanks so much, Rachael, for being on with us, and we'll see you guys on the Monday National Conference call.
The conference is now completed. Goodbye.